What is the biggest lesson you learned if you look back now at this year, after many, many years, because you've done an incredible amount of experiments, you've been on this journey for a long time, but what is the biggest lesson from this year?
That,
apart from the fact it works, whatever it
yeah,
means,
but that time and patience is your best friend.
Looking at the barrels, yeah.
But also in soil. If you have the patience to build it, it's going to give it back to you. The plants, they thank you with a better crop, with a better skin structure, etc. Because you have invested in that, in time, in the possibility to rebalance nature in your soils.
And when you say rebalance nature, what does that mean to you? Meaning
that the balance between the most essential parts, nutrients, organic matter, biology in and above the soil, biodiversity, frequency, energy, they are all working together in the system we have built, which is called regenerative farming at the moment.
And you see in the most advanced plots that dance or orchestra is starting to, let's say, sing together or tune together.
Yes.
And is that
it's like an orchestra.
Is that a linear thing? Like at some point, or is suddenly it starts and you're like, whoa, like that plot like the balance is, or the orchestra starts to make proper music instead of just...
Looking back at all the years we are busy with it, the first years you ask the questions to yourself, am I doing it right? Because you are investing in it, but you see nothing.
Or less even, you see more chaos, more...
Yes, but what am I doing? But during the season, during the years, it is improving and you see a little bit more results. But it takes time. And then after 3 or 4 years, it's going to accelerate. And then year 6, 7 and 8, holy shit, the system is going to work for itself. And you only have to maintain the system. And then the happiness is there.
And do you, like, are you going now with those first plots into a space that is completely unknown to you as well? Like, how far can that go? Is that, or are you starting to go into, okay, we always thought 10 was the max and now we're going to, actually we're at 15 and we have no idea where it ends? Or are you still like in the comfortable space, or are you going into directions you don't even know yet?
We are in the comfortable space that we see how nature and soils are working. We are in a discomfortable space that we are learning more every day, and that we go in depth, and that we are going to ask ourselves more questions. What is happening?
How much do you, let's say, how much do you think you know now? A rough estimate.
Oh, that's a. I think.
Are we at 2%, 5%, 1%?
I think we are.
10%.
No, I think we know.
50.
I think what's happening. I think we know 20%.
Okay. And like, if I asked this question 7 years ago,
we knew the wrong things.
You thought you knew more, but you didn't.
Yeah. So maybe it's a negative. So minus.
So you have a big jump from minus 20 to 20. And
because we were learned and educated in the wrong things.
And what's the, when you say wrong things?
In the things
what is wrong? Yeah, what was?
It was not wrong. It was modified in those years because we were busy building that system, and everybody was convinced about that system. And that's the system of modern farming, cost price driven farming, large scale farming, industrialized food systems, etc. But that system has an end.
And you saw that coming. I mean, I remember the first time we met, and I think we said it in the interview we did as well, like you at some point saw those lines Like the yield was plateauing and the costs were going up, and that's very dangerous as a company. And do you remember, because that's one thing is, okay, how we're gonna increase yields and or decrease costs, because otherwise this is not gonna end well. But I think there's a much more philosophical layer underneath that, because you keep saying and keep repeating over the last years, you have to listen to nature. Nature knows what it wants or what she wants, and we have to listen and tune into that and follow that, and what does the soil want, etc. But that is a huge shift from we farm and nature has to follow me or us, and we just plant and the rest of it. Like, do you remember what triggered that? Like that realization that I'm not in full control, I will never be, and I'm part of nature instead of above nature. I feel like that's the fundamental shift many go through in this space. But I'm also very curious, because you started as a very conventional farmer on a very conventional farm. It's not that you came to this realization and then bought a farm. No, you were farming and shifted that. Do you remember what started triggering that? Like, oh, there's much more, and oh, against nature, we're probably going to lose it or the battle?
Yeah, I think it's one of the biggest mirrors to open my eyes were our travelings around the world together with my wife and family. For example, we thought that we had the best soils in the world. We were utopia in farming in the Netherlands. We had the best universities, we had the best machineries, we had the best soil. We were the best. That was the conviction we had. We were convinced about it. But then during our visits, we always have the goal to find local food growers, how they do it, how do they sell their products, etc., local food markets, etc. And then we saw, maybe we have some problems also in the Netherlands with large-scale farming. And I remember a farm stay in Nepal, where we were sleeping at a micro farm, which was growing all the crops, and they were exchanging it with their neighbors, etc. And we were having conversations at night during dinner, super healthy dinner with super tasteful products. And I showed them pictures of what we were doing. And they were
proud, obviously. Like, look at my big tractors and my big fields, and yeah.
And she was not so good in the English conversations, but she said one thing super clear to me. And she said, too much iron. When I showed the pictures of the machineries working on our land, too much iron.
And what was your response? Like were you able at that point to...
No.
Or were you like,
no.
What do you mean? Of course we have a lot of iron.
Yeah, because
steel has to drive.
Yes, and we need to work with the lowest cost prices in the world, because we need to feed the people, blah, 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 blah. But then, that was also the moment that my wife integrated more in the whole farming.
Who's a biologist, which we also interviewed. I'll put all of that below. Yeah.
That, yeah, if you want to have good soils, you have to need to have air and water and carbon and biology, all the things in your soil. And if you are honest, we maybe have a problem with soil compaction. And soil compaction leads to a loss of carbon, leads to a loss of biodiversity, of biology, etc., etc. So soil compaction on the heavy clay soils was our problem because we had too much iron. So the lady in Nepal, with one sentence, without having visited us, or maybe she will never visit us, she was totally right. And now you can walk on our soils, and I ask many people, what are you feeling? And they say, oh, it's like we're walking on a
trampoline.
Yeah, trampoline, or like a pillow, that it's soft. it's breathing